Hello and welcome back. I'm Deirdre and this is episode 14 of the process of downsizing, decluttering, packing up, moving out, moving in to my new apartment and doing some of the little tasks that I need to do to make it feel just right for me. So today I'm going to do something I've been planning to do for, well, let's face it, probably years, but today I've decided is the day for it. It's actually a glorious day here in Melbourne. It's August and it feels like mid-September. It's beautiful, it's warm, we've got a warm breeze. It is really a glorious spring day, a wee bit early, but I'm not complaining. But I'm going to start on this project with the ponies and talk to you about how I'm doing it and what I'm using and why, and sort of hoping it'll turn out okay, but I might have to fudge it a bit along the way. I don't have my drop saw, so because there's really nowhere to put it. So until I sort out a way of having a workbench, maybe a folded piece of ply with a hinge or something like that that I can clamp onto another surface to protect it, and then that will give me something to work on. But at the moment I don't have that, and I thought, well, shall I just use my circular saw and just use it on the floor with a piece of deep foam underneath it. And I thought, no, I'll go back to my good old miter box and hand saw and do it the old-fashioned way. And it is a bit slow, but you don't have to worry about that because I will be speeding it up for you. Before I start though, I would like to say how happy I am with the lights I put in episode 13. This was not a big deal. It really just meant that I had to drill holes and put the little standoffs into the area above the cupboard and then clip and clamp these lights on. They are great. A little strip of IKEA LED lights has changed the whole way that the bathroom works. I can put my makeup on. I don't have to go over to a window and sort of stare at my neighbours and wave while I'm trying to put on some makeup in the morning. Mind you, they're doing the same thing, which is really funny. They're not that close. They're sort of, I don't know, 2 driveways away. But having said that, it is funny that we say, good morning, we both... Anyway, so yeah, I don't have to do that anymore. I can wave to my neighbours, but just not while I'm putting my makeup on. And it's been great. So I'd really encourage anybody out there who's got a slightly dark sort of area, as long as you have just a normal PowerPoint that you can have access to, and I do, and we allow them in our bathrooms in Australia as long as there's a regulation distance, and it's the angle. It's not just the linear distance, it's also the angle has to come into it as well, away from the water source. But yeah, it's been easy for me. So if you do have that, I couldn't recommend these more highly. They're really good, they're fun, and they were really cheap. And they're meant to last for something like 22,000 hours. That doesn't sound right. About 20,000 hours though. It's a fabulous length of time that you get out of them. Right, well, I will now take you and show you what I've got just down here on the floor, and show you what I'm going to be doing in the process. These are the ponies, which we've seen 100 times before. And my rather, random sort of workspace, which is just a drop cloth on the floor, but it'll work. And a few more things over here. I've got some little corner brackets too, just to reinforce the corners of the miters. But once again, I will have to drill them because I've chosen a fairly thin moulding to be the frame, and yeah, I'll definitely have to drill them because otherwise it'll split the moulding. And over here, what do I have? I have my miter box. That's going to be a great little bit of work there. I've got a whole lot of pieces of moulding over here. And I did one to just sort of show you the process. So it looked like that, okay? And I cut that clamp. Now, by definition, when I turn that round, which I won't, but when I cut another piece, it'll be on that angle, and that makes my very nice little miter. You see? That's very nice and tidy and easy to put together. Now at the other end, I'm going to mark where that comes to. I'm going to mark the direction of the cut, and I'm going to put a little cross for the bit that's going to get cut off. Okay, this is the good bit, that is the bit that gets cut off. Now you can see that when I put it into the miter box, this tells you what where the cut has to be. Okay, so I line that up with this end, this into here, because that was the one that was against the picture. Now I'm going to clamp it to the miter box, and then I'll saw from this side. I'm just going to clamp the whole thing to the mitre box, tighten it up, and that will hold this in place. Now just check again to make sure that it hasn't moved, and then I'll start cutting it. And now I've just started to cut. And there's the cut. You can see it's a nice clean cut, and honestly, what could be more simple than using a mitre box and a hand saw, and you can get a nice clean edge like that. I will give it a very light sand before I glue it, but that's pretty good. Well, I wouldn't say it was quick, but I've done all the cuts and it seems to be pretty much okay. So next step is to glue them up. In the glue department, there is only one as far as I'm concerned, and this is just a really good yellow glue. And there is a technique for putting the mitres together, and I'll show you. It should work on the frame. It works beautifully on boxes and things like that, so I'll show you. Now this is the joint, the corner joint of my frame. You see there's the mitre, and I've just got some tape and the glue and a brush ready to go, and I'll try this little technique that's very handy for doing nice little mitres. Put masking tape on the back over the join, and then you turn it over like so, and you turn it over, and then I'm going to put the glue in here. And then you roll it up, and the masking tape becomes effectively a clamp. I've clamped them with these clever little clamps that you add to the Irwin clamps, and it turns them into corner clamps, which I thought was very clever. But I have only two, so at the moment I'm just doing these two, and I'll do the other two when these are a bit more solid. I've put 2 screws into the other two, into 2 of them, and I've put all 4 into one of them, because when there are only 2 of them in, you still have a little bit of flexibility. So one of them is locked up as a perfect right angle, and the rest are still a tiny bit flexible until I get this one in, and I'll do a dry fit on the ponies, and then I'll be able to know whether I can put the other screws in. So let me just paint this with glue and we'll get started. To mark it up, I put a little crisscross into those screw holes because I want it over slightly. It's a bit too, I don't want it to come right up to the edge of the moulding, because then I'd see it. So it's in a wee bit, but that's fine. So that's not too bad. There is still flexibility in that corner, so I can adjust it if I need to. I'm going to just dry fit it onto the ponies now. Well, the ponies are framed, but the glue hasn't gone off, so I can't do anything more today. Now it's just sitting loosely inside that frame because I've got to take it out and tidy it up a bit and do a little light sand and then paint it. But I'm happy with that. It fits beautifully. I don't have a band clamp, which is what I needed to go around it. What should I do? I could use string. I'm thinking, what can I improvise to pull it together? And this is my improvised band clamp. I have a long piece of string which I've doubled up, taken it around, looped one through and pulled back hard on a hitch, tightened with the extremely sophisticated tightening device of putting a pencil through it and twisting it, and it's pulled it up beautifully. Well, I'm quite pleased with that for a couple of hours on a Sunday afternoon. It's pretty much exactly what I wanted. It is exactly what I wanted, in fact. I will wait till it's completely dry, take off my highly sophisticated band clamp and give it a light rub down, and because it's a primed moulding already, and paint it black, because even though white does look lovely on it, the black will set it off against the wall, will really make it a focal point, which I'm looking forward to seeing. Right, what else? Well, it's Sunday night, so I'm going to quickly tidy up. I'm going to, place is a mess actually because there's stuff everywhere. While I was doing that, I kept thinking, oh, where's the such and such? And I go and grab it and then leave it there and then have to go back. It was a mess. So I'll clean up from what I've just been doing. I'll do a quick tidy up, maybe actually clean my house for 2 minutes. Do all those boring Sunday evening jobs like putting out the garbage and, folding, washing, getting ready for tomorrow, work tomorrow. And then I might just sit down and I might watch some television. Might be a Netflix night, I think. If you'd like to see part 2 and find out what they look like up on the wall when it's painted and looking good, please subscribe. And there's a playlist of some of the things I did to get myself downsized and decluttered and all the rest when I was moving in here. I hope that whatever you're doing, you're having a lovely day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.